You may have missed, I'm Ellen Corcella, and I'm here in Haley's place. I went to seminary with her, and I'm honored to be here. I just want to say as an overview before we read the Old Testament passage. I was glad to hear the children's moment read the New Testament passage. Those are selections from the lectionary. And all four possibilities ask us to consider what choice are we making in our lives and for the world. I chose to read from Psalm 52. There's a preface to Psalm 52, and it reads as follows. For the director of music, a maskil of David, when Doeg the Edomite had gone to Saul and told him, quote, David has gone to the house of Ahimelech. The psalm itself reads, Why do you boast of evil, you mighty hero? Why do you boast all day long, you who are a disgrace in the eyes of God? You who practice deceit, your tongue plots destruction. It's like a sharpened razor. You love evil rather than good, falsehood rather than speaking the truth. You love every harmful word, you deceitful tongue. Surely God will bring you down to everlasting ruin. He will snatch you up and pluck you from your tent. He will uproot you from the land of the living. The righteous will see and fear. They will laugh at you, saying, Here now is the man who did not make God his stronghold, but trusted in his wealth and grew strong by destroying others. But I am like an olive tree flourishing in the house of God. I trust in God's unfailing love forever and ever. For what you have done, I will always praise you in the presence of your faithful people. And I will hope in your name, for your name is good. So in order to understand Psalm 52, we kind of have to look at this arcane reference to Doeg the Edomite. Doeg the Edomite played a key role in King Saul's deadly reign as the king of Israel. Now this story is recounted in 1 Samuel chapter 22, where King Saul and his servant, and more significantly Saul's heir apparent David, are engaged in a deadly game of cat and mouse. Saul is the first king of Israel, who was appointed by God through God's prophet Samuel. Rather than following the guidance of God, however, and seeking to honor God's will for God's people, Saul used his rule to expand his influence and territory, to exact loyalty from Israelite tribes, and to maintain his power. Saul fears David because now God has decided that David will be Saul's successor as king. Saul fears the demise of his power. So Saul and his army are pursuing David in order to kill him and end David's threat to Saul's throne. In order to do this, Saul demands that his priests and courtesans tell him any and all information about David. Where is David? How is David? Although most refuse his order, including the priests who are key to this passage, Doeg, the Edomite, fully aligns himself with Saul, killing anyone, even the priest, that Saul perceives as disloyal. So Psalm 52 is addressed to Saul, it is addressed to Doeg, and to any mighty hero, man or woman who boasts of evil, plots destruction, practices deceit, and loves falsehood rather than speaking the truth. So where did Saul, once so favored by God, go so wrong and so unhinged? The psalmist does not mince words. Right in the middle of the psalm declares, Here now is the man who did not make God his stronghold, but trusted rather in his great wealth and grew strong by destroying others. You see, Saul's investment is no longer with God, but Saul's investment is totally in himself. And Doeg, seized with the prospect of wealth and power, has aligned himself with Saul rather than God. I would like, and perhaps all of us might like, to relinquish this narrative to the dustbin of biblical history. Instead, I suspect it hits your ears like it did mine, like a prophetic play that speaks truth to times modern as well as times ancient. The players may be different, indeed they are different, but we are intimately familiar with this narrative of palace intrigue. Our current leaders and politicians, political parties say and do whatever is necessary to gain and hold on to power. Internationally, nations play war games with each other, testing territorial limits and asserting their international power. Contemporary society, the news media, social media, advertising, pushes us to put our faith in wealth and power, external beauty and fame, rather than love and kindness and generosity. So in many ways, this psalm is about us too, and it speaks to us, because we too may stand accused, confronted, and tested. Because is God our stronghold? Is God the source of our values, the basis of our actions, the foundations of our lives? Is God, as the theologian Paul Tillich once asked, the ground of our very being? I know, I do, and I know you do, yearn to believe as Christians, as people of faith, that God should be the stronghold of our lives. But we are often sorely tested. We get caught up in the world, wanting so much. We want to be winners, not losers. We hesitate and question the meaning and purpose of our faith, particularly when bad things happen. And as I wrote that title, Is God the Stronghold of Our Faith? I wondered, because bad things do happen. The inexplicable violence that has shattered your pastors, my friends' well-being, undoubtedly hovers over this faith community, seeping like secondhand smoke into the very lives, your very lives, and the lives of all of us connected to Haley and Toby. You know, violence undermines our confidence in our faith. It tempts us to believe that our trust in God is somehow misplaced. And we may turn to God and ask why. But Psalm 52 provides a crucial clue. Do we live our lives for ourselves, or do we live our lives for God and others? You see, violence and despair and fear and hatred are products of the delusion that we must do anything and everything to protect ourselves and our island. Now, Bishop Desmond Tutu, who I'm sure, knowing Haley, you've heard of once or twice in a sermon. Bishop Tutu battled the temptation for years to respond with violence and hatred to a brutal and violent apartheid regime in South Africa. And he offers a fundamental insight in his new book, God Has a Dream. You see, Bishop Tutu's understanding of God as a stronghold of our lives is based upon the notion of relationship. Bishop Tutu writes, quote, God calls on us to be his partners to work for a new kind of society where people count, where people matter more than things, more than possessions, where human life is respected and positively revered. End quote. You see, our relationship with God is founded on the greatest form of flattery, because we know from Genesis on that we are made in God's image, each and every one of us. We are chosen by God, we are created by God, we are loved by God. We are rooted and anchored. We are embraced and enhanced by divine love. And if each of us are God's beloved children, created through divine love, then we are all intimately and divinely connected one to the other. So the question is less why to God than how to God. How can we honor God rather than protecting just ourselves? How? And one of the answers to the how is what you're doing this morning. You are worshiping together. You are singing together. You are praying together. You are recognizing that in community, you are saying that God is the stronghold of your life. That each and every one of us are important to each and every one of you, here and in the broader community. We are held this morning in God's loving arms.